wealthiest country in the world, that it's a capitalist free market system. And that is our identity. I live in America, I grew up in America. Recently, during the pandemic, the global crisis of the coronavirus, a killer disease, what we have learned is a repeated lesson that capitalism does not work. It's fact. Right now, the American government has taken over. It is mandating that private companies produce certain things for the good of society. Example, the United States government is having certain companies produce ventilators. Okay. Now, in a normal capitalist system, capitalism means that companies operate solely for profit. There is no social or moral obligation to people. Example, tobacco companies. Tobacco kills people, but they're allowed to operate for a profit under capitalism. But in a state of emergency, technically right now as I make this, we're in a national emergency. I believe day 17. Again, the government has taken over and they're mandating that certain companies, Ford, General Motors, once car companies, who've already been bailed out before, I'll talk about that later. These car companies are making ventilators because what the government realizes is if they don't step in the way of capitalism, the only people that would be allowed to get a ventilator is whoever could afford it. And the companies would solely operate for a profit. They would make ventilators at the cheapest rate, sell them at the most expensive, and that's a capitalist system. The government's saying no, then it'll be total anarchy if that's the case. We can't have that. So the government socialized the work of the ventilators and other things. There's three major times in the United States history that capitalism has proven factually that it will fail without the government subsidizing and assisting it. Number one was in 1929, what Americans refer to as the Great Depression. Right before the stock market had crashed, because the stock market was around then, everything kept going up. And people thought that the free markets are the way to prosperity. There's no better way. It's great, it's great, it's great. And the free markets have value. A level of capitalism has value. Thank you, Pluto. I appreciate that, brother. But unregulated, uncontrolled, unbalanced, what happens is the greed and the profit-driven culture collapses. And the way we got out of the 1929 collapse, because basically what happened was the stock market crashed, the banks, they ran out of money because the banks loan more money than they actually have on the books. And people couldn't get money out of the bank. Companies folded. People lost all their entire life savings. And it was a chain domino reaction without the government intervening. So the government then intervened and started infrastructure projects, the Golden State Bridge and many major infrastructure projects throughout America began to spring up so it could create jobs. And they also eventually instituted Social Security and Medicare, which are programs for the elderly and the most vulnerable in society, which are government-run programs, not privately for-profit programs. So if anyone likes Social Security or Medicare, that's socialism. That's not capitalism. And without that, our country collapsed. Say, Cal, that was in the beginning of our country. That's a bad example. All right, well, here's another example. 2007, the financial system collapsed. If it wasn't for the government intervening, printing money and bailing out the banks, we would have had anarchy. The whole system would have collapsed again. We also bailed out the same car companies, General Motors, etc., that are now making these ventilators today, 2020, under the current national emergency. So the government saved our country many times, and it's saving it again now. Now the government prints money. It has been printing money. We operate in a deficit. And we wanted a deficit with tax cuts. We want a deficit with military spending. And so what I'm trying to tell you is capitalism has failed three major times: the Great Depression, the Great Recession, and now. And there's other times in between, but those are three major factual examples. Without the federal government stepping in, our country, United States of America, would not exist. Period. Now, to add balance, you want a level of capitalism. You want a level of people are rewarded for innovating and producing things, okay? Because if not, then everyone just basically is lazy, apathetic, and there's no betterment, okay? Because people need an incentive, okay? Even me, I'll use myself as an example. I would not do YouTube if there was no reward involved. I wouldn't. I have had nonprofits. I have volunteered my time freely. I have given freely, okay? But I also monitor my time at this point in my life. So I can say honestly that a level of capitalism is needed. A level of balance is also needed. Okay. Now there are social programs. I have people in my family. I have people in my family that are on subsidized housing, that receive food stamps, etc. Now it's a horrible life, but they get a lot of stuff for free. I wouldn't want to live that life, but for certain people, they don't have the physical or mental capacity or whatever. What I've realized is there's the people at the bottom manipulate the system. They don't like capitalism, but they also are just lazy and nasty. And the very rich love capitalism, but they're nasty, greedy, and unfair. And what I've seen is for the majority of the time, there's exceptions, but the people in the middle get squeezed. The people that are just trying to do the best they can with the abilities they have, and they want to live a decent life, they get squeezed. And the people at the extremes, they kind of like squeeze the middle. And so, what's the answer? The answer is always balance. Balance is a hard thing to find. And that's why we kind of go to extremes at times to move the needle. Because a balanced person is not fired up enough to make a difference. Like even Andrew Yang, he had somewhat of a decent idea, but he wasn't fired up. He wasn't passionate. You have to really be extreme to change things. And so that's where we're faced with now, because you will never get change when everything is going good. You only get change and reform when things go bad, because that recognizes the need for change. So I'm making this to try to be fair somewhat. Obviously, I have my own way of thinking. But when people say that socialism doesn't work, and even our president has said that in a debate, he says socialism is a nice idea, but it doesn't work. Well, factually, capitalism is in the same boat. Capitalism doesn't work without the government bailing it out, and that's been proven factual history. However, you do need a level of balance. You do need a level of reward for the innovators, the highly productive, and you do need a level of decency. Okay, again, example, someone working at Walmart or the gas station, they should be getting, for me, in my opinion, anyone willing to work and working should be paid a minimum $20 an hour, adjusted for inflation, with basic health care. That's it. You work, you're able to live a decent life, okay? And obviously that's not luxury, guys, okay? You want to make above that, then that's capitalism, okay? Now look, if someone can't work, if they have mental or physical disabilities, I have family members on programs. There's some programs out there, they even could be reformed and bettered a little bit, etc. And so you have to find that level of middle ground, but there's no way that you should have corporations making the billions, and that's fine if they are, but without paying health care and decent wages. Okay? You can move your way up. I've proven that, guys. I worked from the bottom. I started my career minimum wage working in the mall at a CD store. Okay. I then got into construction. I gradually made my way up. I went to school at night. I got my electrical license exam. I had my own small business. Okay. I had a nonprofit to give back, and I got burnt out. And I went through ups and downs. I got laid off. I went through hard times. I applied to different jobs. I eventually got another job. So I've been through the ups and downs. I worked for minimum wage. I worked for corporations. I've worked for myself. There is a path to move forward if you're willing to show up. Like I always tell you guys, the number one key to your bettering your life is showing up. Whether it's showing up at your job, the gym. I know the gyms are closed now, but I'm trying to make the example of, I have to be fair. Okay, if you're willing to show up and you give it your all, even if you suck, and there's been times in my life I've sucked, but I've persevered through showing up, you can get ahead. However, my mother, who was 70, she worked in a supermarket. She worked different jobs throughout her career, but she ended her career at a supermarket at 70 years old, working for $11.25, no health benefits, and her knee gave out. Okay, so, there has to, again, be that level of decency. Social Security should be a little bit more, in my opinion, and things like that where it needs to be fine-tuned. Okay, so I think that's very fair. I think that's very factual. Everything I just said is based on fact, reality, and my personal experience. Okay, so like Rick says, do I ever think we can end poverty? I don't think you're ever going to be able to end poverty, because I have family members, like I say right now, that they have government assistance, but they don't want to do anything with their life. They have the energy to be in unhealthy relationships, do nasty things, they're ungrateful, and they could get out of poverty just by putting a little bit of effort into their life, but they don't. Maybe they're just gone with mental problems or physical, but you're always going to have a certain percentage of people that are always destitute, some through their own doing. Like I say, I can testify to my own family. Now, some people are caught in the middle, where they're trying to move forward up. Maybe they had too many kids, they got too much college loan early on in their life, and they're struggling to get behind the eight ball. And that's why I do think college loan debt should be bankruptable, because Donald Trump, Dave Ramsey, they've claimed bankruptcy. That's fact. So we have to be able to have the same system working for us. And so I could see how someone can stay in poverty if they have too many kids too young. Having a kid is the biggest thing that'll put you on an eight ball. And then number two is college loan debt. So those two things for a decent can really put you on eight ball. So, but outside of that, if you're willing to work and you don't have a lot of kids and you don't have a lot of debt, I mean, you really don't have, you still can push forward. And again, I have to be fair. I can't just hammer capitalism. And I did, in fact, but I also have to there's some benefit, okay? There's a balance. Again, I think people, I think the government, just like the government's doing now, it's subsidizing ventilators. It should subsidize Uber workers and DoorDash workers. You should have basic health care coverage through the government, and you should have, a base and bottom line pay. However, I do like the independent contractor thing. Again, that's where the government can work with the private sector to balance the system, because it's a little bit unbalanced, and go from there. You're always going to have the people at the top manipulating the system. You're always going to have the people on the bottom manipulating the system. The vast majority of people are in the middle getting squeezed. However, I still want to see less suffering, whether it's on the bottom, the top, or in the middle. And I just think we're at a point in society where there's too much imbalance, okay? And however, your life, like I say, right now we're depending on the government for a lot, and that proves that capitalism would fail without government. However, I will always be honest with you guys, because I would not be your friend if I was. Your life is always going to depend on you to a certain extent. You'll need government, just like Donald Trump needed his father when he got in trouble. You'll need help. You'll need help. I've needed help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. But there's a certain point in your life where you have to do some work of your own. Like you can have a personal trainer, but if you don't go to the gym, doesn't matter. You can have a therapist, but if you don't, really go there looking to get help and working on yourself, doesn't matter. So there's a level of life, no matter what system, capitalism, socialism, whatever, that you have to do the work of your life. Can't get around that, okay? However, in what we always call the wealthiest country in the world, there should be a better base, a better pathway to the middle and upper if you want to be productive and get a little lucky. And I think that in itself is what I wanted to share tonight, okay? I'm going to take a hydration break. I appreciate those who show me love on Super Chat. Gerald and Pluto, thank you. And I'll take a hydration break. Those read all your live comments. I appreciate also those who click that thumbs up, man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, people like to say that, socialism isn't the way, because they think of the drug addict on the corner of the street. And they think, see, this is what happened when you give people free money. But they never look at like Donald Trump or Dave Ramsey when they claim bankruptcy. And they at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, he hires foreign workers. The ties that he made, they were made in China. They never think about the corporate welfare. So again, I'm balanced. I want to make that statement that the people on the extremes, they're screwing the system. So if you look down on the panhandler on the street, you also have to look down at the person who's the president right now, who's outsourcing jobs in Mar-a-Lago right now. He hires foreign workers on visa. Those jobs, if we say we want to make America great again, those jobs should be American jobs, 20 hours an hour with benefits, and that would be fair. But factually right now, that's not what we do, because capitalism is just about a profit until we're in an emergency like we're in now, and the government has to step in, bail out companies. We're bailing out the airlines, the cruise ships, etc. And we have to regulate companies make ventilators at a certain quantity for a certain price for the betterment of society. All right, let's read all the live comments. Icethesis. What's up, Sam? Maryland now has the mandatory 8 p.m. curfew. Yeah, thank you, Icethesis. Good to see you, and shout out to Baltimore. Now, I've been in New Jersey for a couple months, and New Jersey, well, about a month or so. New Jersey has 8 p.m. curfew. Do I see cops enforcing it? I haven't seen any enforcement. I mean, I don't hang out on the street after 8 that long other than these live feeds. I have seen them patrolling. Okay, so definitely eyeing. And I know now most states in America have a curfew. Some of the times are different. The National Guard, I heard, basically has checkpoints on entryways to Florida. They'll allow you to enter in the state, but they kind of want to know your plans and they're checking. You know, yesterday, the president, Donald Trump, said that he was thinking about a quarantine, but after discussing it with the governors, he agreed it would be too unruly because basically they take away another constitutional right and it would be martial law. And so that's where they decided not to do it. It would cause too much mayhem. Damn it, James. 499 super chat. Hang in there, Sam. Safe travel, my friend. Thank you, James, man. I appreciate that tip very much. James, thank you, man. God bless you, brother. Peace and love to you, man. And I'm very thankful for you, man. I'm thankful for good people, man. I can look past the bad people, and I'm used to it. You're a good person. Thank you. Thank you, Gerald. And thank you, Pluto. I appreciate the positive people. Keep showing up. You know, like that's it. Like sometimes I get trolls. Use that as an example in life. You're going to have a job. You're going to have people that don't like you. You keep showing up because the negative people are the ones who have given up on their life. And there's no system that's going to solve them. Like the trolls that come in here, it doesn't matter if you have capitalism, socialism, or whatever ism. I have learned in life. I didn't always understand this, and I struggled with this because I try to be. I have a compassionate heart, but I don't want to take any shit either because I've seen the compassionate heart get abused. Is that there's some people that are just nasty for whatever reason. You know, whether they got legit problems, but even if they got legit problems, at a certain point, it's unfair to put that on someone else. So what I'm here to tell you is I accept and I acknowledge that you can put the most just, merciful system in place. There's still going to be a percentage of people that are unhappy, nasty, and unruly. So anyone out there and any future leader, I'm talking to you right now, any future leader, you have to remember that no matter what you do, no matter what type of just, humane system, and you should always strive to be just, humane, and balanced, you're always going to have a certain percentage of people that are always unruly. They always want chaos. They always hate you. Okay, so that's just life. Again, life is not an exact science. It's a level of art. So you could say if I do X, Y, Z, this is exactly right. But it's not like that in life. There's none of us are exactly right. So continue to read. Norma, hey Norma, shout out to you. You're in Maryland too. Fireproof, what's up, brother? Norma, I was just about to say that, Ice. John Suttles, man. God bless you. John's a great person I've worked with in the past. Smart guy and a good-hearted, hard worker, positive person. You know, John works for a corporation and he's a good-hearted man and smart guy and never looked to snake anyone else. So what I can tell you is there's good, hard-working, positive leaders out there, okay? And John's one of them. And I've got experience with him, so I appreciate you, man. Norma, Sam, all 1,000 Trails Resort in Virginia have closed down. I was wondering because I tried to actually book a reservation there. Unsure about the other states. Well, I know in New Jersey, they pushed back the opening dates to April 17th. Florida's still open. I actually had a reservation in Virginia a week ago. So I did see, though, I went to book something over the weekend because I was going to shoot back down there to look at an RV. And I couldn't make one online. I was going to call them. So I don't know if they closed. I can tell you the 1,000 Trail campgrounds in North Carolina are still opening because I was thinking about even going there. The lady from North Carolina, I called the campground. She said they're still opening. They're still open, but they discourage anyone from traveling there unless it's essential. Because 1,000 Trails, they're a private company. They have to keep their campgrounds open because people live there sometimes full time all year round. But they have to follow the mandate of the government, which is only essential travel. So they're trying to follow that because the 1,000 Trails company is a publicly traded company. They're a for-profit company. but they have to comply with the government in times of emergency or anytime. And the government's mandating that they want to basically, like yesterday, like Trump said, like he was thinking about the quarantine, but it's kind of unconstitutional. So they're trying to find a balance. So they put out a strong travel advisory. Like the curfew, I mean, technically it's an advisory. Now, can the National Guard or the cops stop you? I mean, they could, but they're trying to give you a warning rather than a ticket. And, I've met some bad cops. I met some good ones. I've met some good cops where I got pulled over and I got a warning. So you have to be fair in all your, good and bad things. Kim Jong-un, what's up, brother? Shout out to Canada, man. No other country thinks like this. It's madness. Every country is different. It's like every state I travel, it has a different personality. Florida has a different personality than New Jersey. Virginia has a different personality than South Carolina. North Carolina has a different personality than Vermont. So the United States is kind of unique in the aspect of it's a 50 states united as one as a collective group. That's why you have state laws and federal laws. So, but whether you're Canada, Spain, shout out to my guy Nick from Spain, I appreciate your support, or anyone out there, we're all humans, okay? So, but just like all humans, you don't get along with everyone, right? So the hardest part about life is unifying people under common decency, okay? And I'm an introvert. I mean, I like my space. I'm digging the 6 feet social distance. But to a level of extent, it's trying to unite people is very hard. Pluto, thank you again, brother, for that tip. We will win taking things day by day, brother. Well, I agree with that. Look, I got that tattooed on my back years ago. I remember going to a thing for my sister. My sister struggled with drugs in her youth. Still does probably. But, I remember going to AA meeting with my mom or whatever type of meeting it was. And there was a guy that stood up. I guess he had struggled with drugs for like 30 years. And he stood up. He says, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. He goes, I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 30 years. And in my mind, I said, why is this guy in a meeting? He hasn't had a drink in 30 years. Like, this guy should be out, doing something else. And then he goes, but I still recognize that I'm one drink away from being an alcoholic. And that's when it hit me. I didn't understand then because I was very young. And I'm not going to say that you should go to a meeting or a support group until, you're 50. Everyone's different. But what I realized was this guy didn't take pride in his sobriety. He was very humble that he could be broken. And I respected that. I didn't understand it because at first I'm like, why is this guy still here? But it was back to that whole saying, which he said like at the end of his speech, was that he takes life one day at a time. And, there's wisdom in that. There is. Free to be me. Peace, Sam. Well, peace to you also, man. Rick Floss, what's up, man? Capitalism works for the rich. Yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely true to a certain extent. To a certain extent, capitalism has a level of value, but to a certain extent, people who know how to play the system game it the worst. But I've seen it on the top of the pile and the bottom of the pile. And people in the middle usually get squeezed. So again, I think you got to have a system that rewards the productive and the innovative, but you also have to have a base bottom. Anyone willing to work should get paid a decent wage in healthcare. And look, healthcare, basic services should just be a right. But I got a person in my family, they never worked a day in their life. And they have healthcare through the government. They get food stamps. They get basic services. It's not a great life, but that's the life they want to live because they've had options. Other people have given them opportunity to have a job, to have a better life, and they don't want to take it. So again, I've seen enough of my life where I have to be fair. There's both sides, extremes, but it's the people in the middle that are just trying to, that's the crazy part. Milano, what's up, brother? Shout out to you. Shout out to Emilio. Shout out to Miami. Milano, man, I'm looking at RVs, brother. How are you, man? How's Emilio? I know that curfew in Miami. I saw the governor of Florida. I posted on my community page. The governor of Florida today said that he's putting everyone in Southeast Florida on a stay-at-home advisory, meaning that you should stay at home till middle of May. So at least in Southeast Florida to the middle of May, guys, we're going to be in this route. So make a mental note, brother. Stay strong, man. Norma. Maryland is now also on a stay-at-home order, okay, with $5,000 a year in a jail or both penalty for violating. Well, you'd probably really have to violate strong for that. Go out only for essentials. Police instructed to enforce. Yeah, I mean, it's probably like everything else. I mean, again, it'll all see how bad it gets, but it's like, they have to have the level of enforcement to keep people honest. But at the same time, it could be abused, but It is what it is. It's true. You got to be mindful of your travels now. Carlos, how are you, Sam? I'm doing the best I can. I feel better physically. I'm recovering from that cold, whatever it was, whether coronavirus or just going from South Florida to New Jersey. I went from 90-degree weather in South Florida to it was like 50 degrees in Jersey. So I don't know if I got a chest cold or I got the coronavirus. But either way, I've been doing the mandate. I've been self-quarantining. I'm just doing essential stuff on the road. So uh, I'm thankful I feel better. How are you, man? Norma? Your voice sounds back to normal. It's getting there. I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, thank you, Norma. Sean, what's up, man? Capitalism is not failing. We need to regulate better in our system. Those three events will not failures of capitalism, but failures in policy. Well, the government institutes the policy. The definition of capitalism is companies operate for a profit. So if you want just capitalism, then right now ventilators could be made and they could charge whatever they want. The government doesn't have to step in. The government just bailed out the airlines. The government bailed out the banks in 2007. They bailed out the entire infrastructure system in 1929. So factually, your statement is incorrect. Capitalism has always been subsidized by the government. The government subsidizes oil companies. The government subsidizes farmers. The government subsidizes a lot of industries. Without that subsidy, we would be in a completely different world. So that's not policy, that's fact. Okay, policy is the adjustment on the socialist capitalist system we have. But policy, if it was just pure capitalism, there would be no policy because the free market is just private companies operate for a profit. The definition of capitalism, look it up, is private companies not controlled by the government operate for a profit. When the government intervenes, that's a level of socialism. Who elects the government? The people, the social society. So right there, I appreciate your comment, but it's factually incorrect. King Jong-un, Russia will liberate us all soon. Hang in there. Well, hey, man, Trump said he called Russia today to talk about lowering to talk about regulating the gas price because Russia and Saudi Arabia intentionally up production to lower the gas price to bring companies in America out of business, okay? We already subsidized the oil companies. That's not capitalism. Number two is, if we believed in capitalism, we're calling Russia. We're friends with Russia in one sense. Trump said it today. He's calling Russia and going to work with Saudi Arabia so they regulate the amount of output of oil they have. That affects the free market. That affects oil prices at the gas station. So again, capitalism does not exist. It's a facade. It's a talking point to a little bit Rick Ross's statement to basically allow those who are smart and manipulative to a certain extent game the system. Now, again, the core of capitalism, which is to reward the productive and innovator, is great. But even Tesla, the private publicly traded company Tesla, almost went bankrupt. If it wasn't for a government grant, I mean, the government granted them money because they wanted the production of alternate fuels, then we wouldn't have the company Tesla. So if you look that up, that's fact. So again, that's not the free market, that's socialized capitalism. So, if you look it up, you'll find these examples. Showgirls. Hey, Sam. I am green eggs and ham. Today, guess I am. Your name is Sam. I remember that poem. Good to see you, Showgirls. Love to you and your daughter. From Florida. Hey, what's up? I love you too. I love you and I love everyone from Florida. God bless you. I miss Florida. I do. Butter says, nah, Sean, this is a failure of capitalism. It's the corruption and incompetence that you get under the oligarchy, which means like rich people controlling stuff, which is the reality of actual existing capitalism. There's a balance in between those thoughts, in between yours and what's his name, Sean. But the bottom line is, look, also interest rates affect the publicly traded market. Okay, so we lowered the interest rate. Okay, that wasn't the free markets. That's government intervening with the Federal Reserve. Okay, and we pumped money into the stock market. Okay, so the stock market itself is not an indicator of the free markets working. They are regulated. So right now, the price to earning ratios of a publicly traded company are severely affected by the interest rates and how much money, quantitative easing, the Federal Reserve pumps in the system. So that's socialism in the background, controlling interest rates and quantitative easing versus the profit earnings ratio of a publicly traded company. So right now, if the interest rates went to 10%, stock market would totally tank because it's all correlated, it's all connected. So it's the government, private sector all playing a game. And that's why it's a little bit of shame for those who are not versed in that game And you got to get even a little lucky, even when you're versed in it, you get screwed. And that's why the hardworking person at Wawa or Walmart, again, I don't think they should be given $20 an hour adjusted for inflation because they're working, they're productive, and they should have basic health care and a basic retirement package. And not a 401k, which dictated a little bit by interest rates, quantitative easing, etc. Annuities, pensions. This country, when the middle class was growing, and statistically it shows in America the middle class is still shrinking, even before the virus. So when the middle class was growing, we had pensions, annuities, guaranteed retirements to supplement our Social Security. Now we have 401ks. So if you went to retire within the last month, you saw your 401k go down 40%. Now it's going back up because the government pumped money in the system. But your whole life, you're going to be on the hook to the system. If you work your whole life, and you should have a decent retirement. So you got to balance that out. Kim Jong-un, with nothing to aspire to, the hierarchy fails, whatever it is. It's a matter of everyone keeping each other honest to a certain degree, and that's very challenging. Klaus, what's up, man? 1980, the wealth has been transferring from the middle class to the rich. Yep. 18% of the wealth held by the middle class. Yep, here we go. Yeah. And now it's down to 12%. Klaus, great comment. Statistically, I don't know the exact statistics, but to your point, yeah, statistically it shows that the middle class has shrunken. So, and look, when someone says that, oh, you're asking the government for a handout, corporations hire employees to lobby the government. There are people that live in Washington, D.C. They work for corporations. Their only job is to ask the government to change laws in their favor and subsidize their industry. That's not capitalism, okay? That is Bill Belichick inflating the football. That's Bill Belichick spying on the defensive team. That's not like an honest competitive game. That's someone looking for an edge and manipulating the system. That's true. But also, boom-bust cycles are inherent in capitalism. Well, yeah, but we would, if it wasn't, let me continue to read, I apologize. He goes, the crisis is amplifying the market failure. The norm is the market crisis is an average of every 10 years. Not true, because if we really believed in boom-bust, last week, the Federal Reserve and the government should not have changed the interest rate and pumped money into the economy. So if you really believe in a bust, they should have let the market keep going down. No subsidies, no socialism. But they didn't, okay? So they did in 1929 and almost collapsed the country. There's 3 times in American history that capitalism failed. And if it wasn't for the government, our country wouldn't exist. In 1929, the government didn't get involved. I think it was Hoover. Hoover didn't want to get involved. He was like, I don't know what's going on. And then eventually it got so bad that there was people in the streets. Everyone was almost homeless. There was bread lines. The government had to create infrastructure spending, and they learned that lesson that we could never let the system go that free again. And that's what happened in 2007. If technically we believed in a boom and bust, we would have let the entire system just go to hell, but we didn't. The government stepped in. So without the government stepping in, our country wouldn't exist. So it's and people say, oh, look at Venezuela, that's socialism. Guys, the United States government and other governments, just like we get in bed with Russia and other people, we regulated trade on Venezuela. We put restrictions on their oil exports, okay? And they don't have the same backed dollar. The U.S. dollar is the world's currency as far as the reserve currency. So we put things in place to collapse Venezuela based on our own political agenda throughout the world. So if you look at that, that's fact, okay? So right now, what are we doing? We're not talking to another democracy. We're talking to Russia. Why are we talking to Russia? Because we want them to adjust their production for oil because we want jobs back in Texas. So it's the same thing. We could have worked with Venezuela. We could say, look, we'll work with you, but we didn't. We made it harder on them. We can make it harder on any country. We make it harder on Iran. We have our own political interest. So it's not capitalism. It is a monopoly based on powers to be controlling systems. And that's what it is. It's fact. So some people don't like it because they're stuck in their ideology with their parents, with their belief systems, with their religion, and with their culture, that they will not honestly look at the facts, and they just say, no, that's not what I've been told. It's not what I've been told. No, bad. But the facts are the facts. The facts are capitalism does not exist, and it never did. And when it did exist by itself, it collapsed. The government intervened. The government intervenes throughout the world based on geopolitical interest, okay? period. Okay. And so, guys, if we really didn't like China, okay, where do we get 80% of our prescription drugs? China. Are we talking about changing that? No. China is not a democracy. Okay. So if you really believe that you have to be a democracy to have a nuclear weapon or something like that, why are we friends with China? Because we want cheaper shit at Walmart. We want corporations to make millions, billions. Why do they do that? Because they have lobbyists begging the government to intervene on their behalf. Fact. Okay. So a lot of people, again, they're just ignorant to their own beliefs. Rick Ross. It's impossible to end poverty. That's a great comment. There will always be people at the top and the bottom. To a certain extent, that's true. I'm just talking about adding balance, but that's a great comment. We need more programs to help the bottom move up, better shelters, jobs, etc. There definitely needs to be adjustments. Like I say, I also have people in my family that are at the bottom, and they don't want to move their way up. And it's a shame because I'm sure they distract from the people that do. So, again, you're always going to have some people you can't reach. But I do agree with you, and I tried to do it myself with a nonprofit, but it was like spitting in the wind. You need the government at a certain point to regulate the system. And that's why you need reform. That's true. Gerald, thank you, brother, for that tip. YouTube Streamer of the Year. Well, I'm just trying to do the best I can. I appreciate that very much. But I'm not in a competition with anyone. I've never have been. But I appreciate that tip, man. Thank you, brother. From Florida. Sammy, let's get real for a second. I wish you had millions of subscribers. And to see you in Florida for people, I wish I was in Florida, for people not to hate you. That's all right. So let them brighten up your day. Shout out to Sammy and shout out to Florida. Love you. Well, I love you too. I have to be thankful, right? And I appreciate you. And I've had more people who are positive than negative. Like, I have to be fair. Like, I remember Nas said in the song, and Nas came from the bottom. He came from Queensbridge Projects. He said in one of the rap songs, he spent more time of his life rich than poor. So, in one sense, capitalism worked for Nas, but at the same sense, he understands that he was born with a gift. And without his gift, he may have not made it. Same thing with me. So, the people who will make it, you kind of have a gift. You refine it, I put in the work, okay? At the same time, I've gotten people jobs and they don't do anything with it. I just believe that there could be a better base bottom, a better pathway to the middle, and less manipulations through corporations, and less bailing out of Wall Street, and you really don't care about the middle or lower class, and that's a shame. And it's a shame that people say socialism doesn't work when factually, capitalism doesn't work, okay? You need a balance of both. That's truth. Easter, lots of wisdom in your words. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thank you for everyone for the positive comments. King, what's good, bro? What's good with you? Mr. Smith laughing. At the trust fund babies who tell the rest of us to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Yeah, I get very upset when I hear that. You're very correct. Dial for Josh. What's up, no man? Are you a fan of Dave Ike? I've never heard of him, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know him. But big corporations should tug on their bootstraps. Just suck it up. I understand that. Flip some houses, take personal responsibility. No, I agree with that sentiment. I do. King Jong-un. Capitalism isn't great, but it's the best we've got. We'll all through history think of a better system. I can think of a better system. Okay, anyone willing to work, it's $20 an hour, adjusting for inflation. Okay, you get basic healthcare coverage, and you get a better annuity or retirement package. That's a better system. Okay, so I could definitely say a better system than bailing out corporations who pay workers below poverty levels and no health care. So I just said that's a better system right there. We the people have amended the Constitution. We've adjusted capitalism. Okay, so guys, when America was founded, you were allowed to have slaves. Women didn't have rights. We've changed the system, okay? The system was not meant to be static, okay? So if you just think like the system is accepted, you don't understand American history or human history. Human history allows for evolving and adapting. It allows for saying just because it was once like this doesn't mean it will always be like this. It doesn't mean like just because all I knew last year, that was the best I knew. Guys, when I was 20 years old, all I knew was, I wanted to get with chicks. I wanted to buy a nice car. I know better now, so I do better. There's a better way than what we're doing. We have to reform, adapt, change, and amend. That is part of human evolution. Without that, it's ignorance and backwardness. Good comment. King. Trump is doing his part, in my opinion, and he isn't all bad in some ways. I would agree that he isn't all bad in some ways, but I would disagree that he isn't doing his part. Because he said he was going to bring jobs back to his country. and he got the economy inflated up. But after 2 weeks, the economy crashed and the government socialized capitalism. And he did not bring the iPhone back. The trade negotiation that was going through China, it had nothing to do about making prescription drugs in America, about bringing manufacturing back. It was all about buying more pork. Our farmers, the United States farmers, are already subsidized. They're already on socialism. So he knows how to sell things emotionally. I like his direct talk. I understand why Hillary lost, but he has not increased the middle class statistically. All the 401ks that you had and all the stocks that you had, last week they were back down to the day he took the office. It didn't gain a cent until the federal government socialized the private sector. So again, I disagree, and factually I just gave the evidence to show you that his whole way, it was no real reform. It was just a sales pitch. He took credit for it as soon as he got in, and then he dodged credit for it the last 2 weeks. So I agree that I like some things about him, but his policy has not. He said one of his first things was to repeal and replace Obamacare. What is the number one cause of bankruptcy in America? Healthcare. Did he repeal and replace it? No, he just repealed it. The only legislation that Trump enacted was tax cuts. They blew a hole in our deficit, caused us to print more money. In 10 years, the individual, the regular people, the middle class, the tax cuts expire. The corporation tax cuts continue to infinity. That's what the legislation says. That's the only thing he's passed. He's a great salesman. So a lot of people just say, oh, what did he do? He built up our military and defleeted our healthcare system. So right now, what do you have? You basically have martial law and you have a depleted healthcare system. And we have to socialize car companies to make ventilators. So factually, he destroyed the infrastructure of America, built up our military, still outsourced our goods, and we didn't get any tangible, real reform. All we got was a sales pitch, saluting of the flag, and talking tough to Hillary Clinton. Guys, that's the banana in the tailpipe. Show me the money. Just like he showed the corporations the money. That's how you got to act. That's what it is. Easy Rider. People don't know what it's like to eat a McDonald's and put $1 in a gas tank. No, I hear you. I hear you, brother. Mr. Smith, y'all hit that thumbs up. I appreciate that. Kim Jong-un, state control is communism. Well, right now we're under state control. So do the corporations say when the stock market goes down that they don't want state control? They should have said that last week. The corporation said, we don't want state control. Don't put more money in the system. Don't bail us out. They didn't say that. They begged for more. Okay? They begged for more. So what should you do? You should ask for more because that's what the corporations are doing. So again, your statement is factually incorrect. Dial for Josh, King Y, I just broke down. John, paper money that isn't backed by gold is fraud because of inflation. The whole system is flawed. The whole system is based on debt. I agree. But it keeps society functioning. So I'm fine. Look, guys, even if it was gold, what's the tangible value of gold? You can't eat gold. All you could do is liquefy gold and maybe make a couple things. Gold has no value. It's just that it's rare. So even gold itself is bullshit. Like if Armageddon really came, you need canned goods and basic services of health. You don't need gold. Gold is just, it's a calf, the gold calf, the Wall Street calf. So gold itself is bullshit too. However, humans decide that this is a reward and you're allowed to use this to barter, whether you're bartering a paper dollar, a digital coin, or a piece of gold. It's just something that society said it's valuable and will give it value. So society gets to choose what do you value and how much do you value it. So that's been going on since the beginning of time. But really the most valuable thing, and we're finding it out now, is healthcare, civil order, okay? And a system that's going to reward the productive and innovative at the same time, not leave people behind destitute without a pathway forward. So you have to balance those trains of thoughts out. John, I read it. James, thank you again, brother, for that tip, and I appreciate you very much, man. God bless you. Kerry, King. Yeah, we got checkpoints here in Florida now. Herman, wow. King, but the checkpoints here in Florida are to keep other people out. I've heard that, but technically by the law, by the Constitution, they can't. However, when you invoke national emergency, you can override some of the constitutional rights. So I still think, I could be wrong, that they're allowing people in at this time. But they do check and want to know, like, what's your plan? Very Tito. What's up, woohoo? Sam, wait till we find out the coronavirus was just an experiment to make us clean our hands better. I don't know, man. It could be, but at the same time, I've read articles. They could be fake, but I've read articles that people who really got the coronavirus. I was reading one article today about a 40-year-old man in Jupiter, Florida, Palm Beach County, and I go there very often, that he had got sick and he had breathing problems, and it took a couple of weeks to recover. And he said if his mother would have got it, she probably wouldn't have survived. So, look, I mean, I think it seems like it's real. Again, do I put anything past conspiracy theory? Anything could be real, but the fact is, look, there are people getting sick. How it was created and why it's to be, I don't know, honestly know, but that's what I would say. King Jong-un, he divorced his first wife because he thought she was a lizard. I love you, brother. Dial for Josh. Sam, I love it when you say you've been quarantined. That's true. After banning someone, I could ban anyone I want. It should be your new catchphrase. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Look, guys, life is too short to fight with your inner circle, okay? So if you're in the chat room and I'm taking the time and I honestly care about what you have to say, I read every comment, and I do. I go to other live chats, guys. They just filter through. They don't give a fuck, okay? I respond not only to every live feed, but also regular comments on my videos, just about 99%. So, because I care, I take interest, I read, I think about them, okay? So I may not always give the answer people want. I may, not be, but if I'm going to put energy into someone, then to me, I evaluate, do I want them in my life? Because, guys, I'm not just like pandering to the crowd. I'm taking serious inventory into what your thoughts are and what your energy is. Now, if we don't vibe, that doesn't mean you're evil and I'm good, because I don't think I'm better than anyone. However, I'm not below anyone. So if someone wants to be nasty to me, or if someone doesn't like the fact that I just blocked them because I just didn't vibe with them, it's my right. I'm not hurting you. You can create a channel. You can have your own live feed. You know what I mean? So, that's my thought process. But yeah, basically, I'll quarantine someone. Okay? The media hates on Trump so bad. They hated on Obama. They hated on Bush. That's part of being a leader. They hate on me. They hate on Jesus. They hate on Martin Luther King. Got to get over that. The bottom line is, I look at the policy and I factually name the policy that he did not pass. We don't have serious trade negotiation change. We subsidize farmers. Farmers don't hire a lot of Americans. They hire mainly immigrants, and not a lot of them, okay? We don't have, we're not making prescription drugs in America. We're not making infrastructure in America. We have a built-up military and a depleted healthcare system that costs too much. So the only legislation he passed was tax cuts for corporations that go on forever and the middle class expire in 10 years. So factually, that's why Trump is bad. Not because I give a shit about like what he said. I care about the facts and the policy, and that's the policy. From Florida, hey Sam, did you see on that hater chat? This is what I mean. Oh yeah, guys, yeah, it's par for the course. Like I said, they're gonna hate Trump, they're gonna hate me, they're gonna hate Jesus, they're gonna hate Martin Luther King, they hated Gandhi. Guys, all part of life. I understand that, I accept it. King, so what do you think will happen from here? A cashless society? Yeah, good question. We're pretty much there. I barely use cash. I keep enough on hand just in case. We're pretty much there. And it's in one sense, look, like all you have to do is cyberly hack someone. You can, make a bunch of ones, zeros. You can go from having like, $1,000 in your bank account to zero. So it's a little bit scary. At the same time, technology does make our lives more convenient, more educated if you use technology for the good. I don't want to go back to House on the Prairie where we're trading gold coins and I have to depend on other people for information and things like that. I don't want to go backwards. I like technology, but like everything else, you have to monitor it, and it has good and bad. That's true. King, what a bad time for drug dealers. Drug dealers been ended. Their time been ended. But why did drug dealing happen? Why? Because in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan, okay, he allowed drugs to come in from South America to fund the Contra in South America. The Contra, basically a militarized army undercover for the United States government to keep Russia back in South America. So that's pretty much been proven as fact. And that's why Freeway Ricky, the real Rick Ross, not the rapper, the real one that used to deal drugs in Los Angeles, his connect was from South America. And his connect was allowed to come to America because the government turned the cheek because they used that drug money to fund the Contras. So that's, if you were ever brought up in the 80s, you remember, what was it, Oliver North or whatever his name was? He was on like TV every day. So the government has proven, okay, that it will allow negative things to happen to society for its own interest. Okay, and that's why it has to be regulated. And that was Ronald Reagan. Okay, so if you look that up, that's what gave us the crack era, pretty much. Luke, what's your thoughts, my man, about everything? Yeah, I kind of just broke it down. Good to see you, Luke. Sending you positive vibes. Thank you, Luke, my man. You too, Josh. Terry, the next phrase for the deep state shadow government is straight digital currency that can track all transactions, phishing, etc. Look, Bitcoin or anything else will never go far until it's backed by the Federal Reserve. The only reason the dollar is the world's reserve currency is because the Federal Reserve backs it. The Federal Reserve itself is not even really public, it's private. That's the big money. So, look, Bitcoin can go up and down. It will be used. Blockchain will be used. But, guys, the bottom line is until the Federal Reserve or the government backs it, it's just like gold. It doesn't have as much meaning as the U.S. dollar because the U.S. dollar is backed by the big players of the world that you'll never see. That's true. Josh, no, man, I'm surprised. I assumed you were a big introvert. That's all right. King, Dal, yes, bro. When do you think this will happen? Before the end of the year? Showgirls, today, roadblocks, I-95 and I-10. I heard about that. Party's over, folks. Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. Hopefully we get through this quick, man. James, Sam, baby. I worked at Sprouts. How much did you get paid? And we're doing our best in sales history. Yep. And you're probably getting $2 hazard pay. That's what I heard. They're giving everyone at our store a second $100 bonus this week. Well, that's great, but that's not enough because your base pay is probably anywhere between $10 to $15. You probably don't have health care and you don't have a retirement fund. So that's good if you're young with no kids. But if you're elderly or if you're middle and you're trying to work your way up, guys, the average rent in America is $1,200. If you make $10 an hour, that means you're pretty much going to bring home $1,400 a month. You can't afford rent. So you're working, you're productive, you're not being lazy. So again, I don't think you should be a millionaire working at Sprouts, but I think you should be getting paid $20 an hour adjusted for inflation, basic health care, and a basic retirement package. So that $2, while it's great, that bonus that they're giving you, it's great. They're making billions, okay? And if all of a sudden Sprouts went out of business, or if there was an issue like with Ebola or something, they couldn't sell salad, they would go to the government to subsidize them, just like the airlines did and the cruise industry did. So it's a disingenuous bonus, even though I'm happy you're getting something, and I congratulate you for working hard. There should be more oversight on what people are getting paid. That's true. Down for Josh. Terry, I see this rolling out within 1 to 3 years. Juliana, shout out to Australia. Bet you are craving creature comforts. I am. That's why I'm looking at an RV. Nomad life is very hard now, Juliana, especially in the States, man. I love you. Are you going to still buy a travel trailer? Possibly. I want to try to wait a little bit longer because even the campgrounds is very hard to find open ones. State parks are definitely closed in most states. Even the private campgrounds, even like Thousand Trails, you got to struggle to find them. But I want to be self-contained. I mean, that's one lesson that really hit home with me. I mean, I never thought it would come to this where we're in complete shutdown pretty much. But I definitely want to buy below my means. I definitely want something self-contained. But I'm seriously thinking about Julian. King, showgirls. It's not over yet. Florida's trying to keep newcomers from coming in the virus. Showgirls. Call Chevy Dude in Carolinas. He will make you a deal. Deliver out of state at Chevy dealer. Thank you, showgirls. King Jong-un. Play Monopoly. What happens? One person ends up with all the money. The game's over. It's nearly over. I heard that Monopoly was created to show us the pitfalls of capitalism. Okay? So even in Monopoly, there's socialism. I can prove it. After you collect Go, what do? You get $200. That's socialism, okay? Just for sticking around. So you have to give some subsidies, just like the government gives subsidies to corporations. So it's just part of the game. It's true. Florida, I'm telling you guys, Sammy is good at his job, and he's good at giving inspirational speeches. Thank you. Thank you, King. Is anyone else not seeing all the chats? I think I'm seeing. I'm trying to read them all. I love you, man. From Florida. Everyone spam fire emojis. I like that fire emoji. Thank you, Florida. King, where are you from? Zelda. Hey, Zelda. Shout out to South Florida. Fire emoji. Thank you. King. Northwest Florida is the Panhandle. You? Oh, okay. He's talking to Florida. Zelda. Hey, Sam. You sound better today. I do feel better. Thank you for asking. From Florida. Orlando. 704, baby. King. That's what's up. Disney's closed now. Yeah, Disney's closed, man. From Florida. I know, right? It sucks, but you know what, as long as we're in Florida. Florida's a great state, man. other than August and September, a little bit of October, only because it's the height of hurricane season, it's very humid. But if you have an air conditioning and you have a house, I mean, Florida's great all year round for the most part. Uh, Car insurance is high. Why is car insurance the highest in Florida than any other state? Because you have the most uninsured drivers. So the people who pay car insurance, you subsidize the uninsured. So why is medical bills the number one cause of bankruptcy and very high in America? Because we subsidize all the people who pay for their own health care. We subsidize all the people not paying. So that's the truth. And that's why you need a balance. Showgirls, Chevy Dude. Give a number and a text. From Florida. Us Floridians know what's up. Yeah, you know car insurance high as hell. I know because I pay it. From Florida, Disney World's closed. Josh, Nomad, speaking of Tesla, they always struggle financially and in the stock market. Yet when they are in trouble, magically money comes out of nowhere and they're funded. Yes, because Elon Musk, who is the head of the company and head of SpaceX, he knows how to sell. He's a great salesman. He's a very smart individual. And people will give him money. He'll issue bonds. A bond is more important than a shareholder. Why? Because if the company would ever go bankrupt, the bondholder has first right of any liquidation of the company. The shareholder has zero. The shareholder is subject to the stock market, and the stock market is subject to a variety of factors. The real money is in the bonds. Bonds may not seem to make a lot of money. Sometimes they only make 2%, but pretty much they are the true owners of the company. And when the stock market tanks, the Federal Reserve wants a liquid bond market. The big money is in the bond market, okay? And that's the scary dark money, man. Showgirls, no curfew in Destin. Mary, other areas too. Showgirls, both Disney World closed. King, Showgirls, 805 represent. King, we have no curfew yet. Josh, Vince McMahon, shout out to the WWF, and then they turn to WWE. I love Ultimate Warrior. Guys, click that thumbs up if you love WWF or if you love me. Vince McMahon is greedy. Well, he's capitalist. He wanted to keep WrestleMania on and ignore the virus. Florida State forced him to cancel. Again, the government had to step in. I remember when, who was it? Jesse the Body Ventura, who was a Navy SEAL. He was, I think, the governor of Minnesota. He said that he tried to unionize the WWF Wrestling Federation in the 80s, and Hulk Hogan sold him out. Because technically, the wrestlers are considered the same thing as a door dasher, a 1099 independent contractor. And so he was saying, look, this corporation is making all this money and we don't even have health care. We don't even have rights. And the only people who were making big money was like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. The other guys like Jesse the Body were getting screwed. And so he tried to unionize the federation. Showgirls. Florida is refusing access to New Yorkers and Louisiana residents today. Showgirls, lockdown been in Miami for a while. Yeah, Miami is a major hub. Florida, tourists during hurricanes. We got to get out of here. And there's a hurricane. Floridians doing a hurricane. Florida's my home, baby. I'm not going anywhere. I hear you. But like sometimes Floridians have the same mindset as people who live at the Jersey Shore. Like they hate out-of-towners, but without out-of-towners, there is no economy. So like people at the Jersey Shore, they hate in the summer when people come to their town, but without tourism money, they have no town. So same thing with Florida, guys. Tourism is the number one part of the Florida economy, then healthcare, then other sectors. So if Disney World shut down forever, if you didn't have out-of-towners coming there forever, and you could tell them license plates are usually in Florida, they're from all over the world, Florida economy would be decimated. You would have to institute state tax, state income tax. It would be a totally different Florida. So like everything's in life, it's the yin and yang. It's the capitalism and the socialism. Without the tourist, the economy tanks. Too much tourist, too much frustration. So there's a balance of thought in life. Never forget it. Franconia, Francine, I don't know how to say it. Forgive me. Sam, you're on fire tonight, brother. Well, thank you, Francini. Reminds me of John Franco. Who remembers John Franco from the Mets? A great relief pitcher. Thank you, brother. God bless you. From Florida. Speaking of truth, thank you. Showgirls. From Florida. So true. We wait till 40 miles from land before we run. Butte. Speaking of Iran, the U.S. rolled. I don't understand it. King, I heard a bunch of CEOs step down because they were hiding underground with all the other, I don't know how to say that right, pedophiles maybe? Due to Steve Weinstein? Yeah, it's true. Look, guys, look up Steve Mnuchin. Steve Mnuchin is the current U.S. Secretary of Treasury. He's the one that architected the latest bailout 2 weeks ago where the government bailed out capitalism. And he used to work for Wall Street. He was a Goldman Sachs broker. He was sued by Sears for bad practices. He was also sued by some homeowners for falsely foreclosing on them. So the person who's running the U.S. Treasury and orchestrating the bailout, he himself was a fraud to a certain extent based on his history. So guys, it's all a game. It's true. But Iran in 1952 when they tried to nationalize their oil industry. Thank you, Butter. Eric, what's up, Sam? Sounds like your cold is getting better. Thank you. Hey, I'm trying to monitor how much I use my voice, but I do feel better. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate your love and your comments. Intermission? Hey, no, man. What's up, brother? Intermission? Hope you're doing well, brother. Thank you also for your comments. Murat, Sam, what's happening? Another day of being free. My family members don't like it. Uncles, aunts, cousins, parents laughing. They spend days on the plantation while I'm dead free and happy. Well, look, guys, as an individual, once you become an adult, it's not your parents' job to make you happy. It's your job. So, Murad, you figured that out. Don't judge your parents. Don't be mad at them. But you have to go and figure out your own life. And I went through the same thing myself. So I feel you. And it's great that you're debt free, man. God bless you, brother. Murad, I tried to help them. They make fun of me for living simple. Murad, like I say, you're on the right path, man. You're doing you. You're not hurting anyone. And so you just keep doing you, brother. I understand what you're saying. King Jong-un. WW2 bankrupt the UK to the extent the British Empire collapsed. That was the biggest empire the world had ever seen. I fear governments will lose control or force control. Nothing lasts forever. Yeah, that's something to think about. And, that's somewhat true. Justin, what's up, brother? Norma, I'm learning a lot about the government, other people, and myself through the crisis. And thank you, Sam, for giving more to think about and research. Well, thank you, Norma. From Florida. Yes, sir. Edgar, preach the truth. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Roy, popcorn emoji. Thank you. I appreciate it. I used to like popcorn. I chipped my tooth on Skinny Pop down in Florida. I vowed I'll never eat Skinny Popcorn again. Justin, heart emoji. Thank you. Tony, turning in late, capitalism is proving its true nature. It cannot provide for social's needs. We need to run the economy to meet the needs of society, not profits for few. We got to balance the system. It's a good to have a system that rewards the productive and innovative. But right now, our system is too heavily slanted in bailing out capitalism when it fails and failing to provide a base and a way up when times are good. Because when times were good just a month ago, no one was talking about what we need to do to reform infrastructure, trade, etc. The trade negotiations we had was about farmers. Farmers are already subsidized by the government. And what we needed is to make our prescription drugs in this country. We need a better minimum wage, basic health care, and a better retirement package. And all that can be done and still have a system that rewards the innovative. That's true. Intermission fire. Thank you. So, girls, you cannot believe in Fort Walton, Florida is a barbershop was open today cutting heads. They're a small business. Yeah, it's like if they don't cut hair, the people still didn't get a check yet. So no one I knew got a check from the government yet. So a small business like someone who cuts hair, they're productive. They're not lazy. If they don't cut hair, they're not able to buy stuff at the supermarket. And barbershops, they're living paycheck to paycheck, hair salons. So guys, how that money isn't already issued to especially people like that need it, we're leaving people behind. It's not right. Good job. Good comment. But laughing. Mrs. Smith, if Sam didn't block so many people, yeah, I'd have about 200K. There'd be every live feed would be about 200-300. But I could have did a lot of things in my life. It was just about capitalism. I would have kept my father in my life. I would have gotten inheritance. I would have played the game with certain people. I would have took certain positions, and I would play YouTube a certain way. I balance it. So, to me, my factual life has already proved that if I was just about capitalism, I would just play the game and just let the money come in. But I also want peace of mind. And everyone who has ever been through a divorce or a breakup, this is fact. Sometimes in life, even though you don't want to walk away from money, you'll walk away from money because you want peace of mind. And we all like money. We all need a reward. But there has to be a balance between that and your personal inner peace and what's good for you. Got to be. From Florida. This is literally a movie. Well, that's awesome. From Florida. How much do you make on YouTube? Minimum wage if you divide it by the hours I worked. And if you divide it by the first year, I've been on YouTube for 3 years, the first year I worked for free, then it's basically $2 an hour. I get no health care, no retirement, etc. So that pretty much sums it up. Butter, based from Florida. Sammy, do we vibe? So far, so good. But I remember I vibed with some hot Asian milk for about a year. Then all of a sudden it went sour, and I blocked her out of my life. It was a disaster. So far, so good. You know what I mean? I remember seeing the whole Oliver North thing. Yep, that was when the United States government allowed drugs to come into the country to fund an unjustified war because it went to Congress, and Congress didn't want to fund the army. So guys, look it up. The whole thing unfolded. And I also remember Reaganomics, total disaster, basically led us into a recession. Ask Trump. He was on Hill. Trump went to Washington in like 1990 when he was going through bankruptcy. And he said that this tax cuts and taking away certain tax incentives hurt the economy. And he basically was asking for reform. So, girls, Dustin Florida is putting 95% of its workers through furloughs. From Florida. This chat is full of Floridians. Well, I love Florida. So, girls, no hazard bonus here. Yeah, I mean, all my Door Dashers and stuff out there, man, I feel you. Hey, shout out to West Coast. All my nurses. I miss you, Psychopath Samuel. Door, use that hand sanitizer. Love, respect to you and all my nurses, caretakers. Guys, pray for not only their physical well-being, but their emotional well-being. One of the hardest things you'll ever do in life, whether you're paid to do it or whether you take care of a family member or a pet, one of the hardest things you'll ever do in life is be a caretaker. Not just because of the physical demand, but because of the emotional demand. And so I have extreme compassion on that. Brent, damn it, brother. Thank you for all your love, man. Shout out to Kim. We have crony capitalism. Yep, you nailed it. And it has to go. Brent, all I can tell you, brother, is you've been awesome. And you're a very smart guy. You're a very balanced guy, man. I think nothing but highly of you, Brent, man. Thank you for your love, man. You've been a blessing, man. That's all I can say. Dar. The connection was bad. I'm sorry. Norma, I agree, Sam. After this, I'm looking to upgrade out of a Camry into something self-contained. This is really a hard time for nomads, guys. I mean, I don't think you can ever say, you would think that the entire country, entire world, there'd be no gym open, no Starbucks. Like someone asked me today, they said, Sam, you should be happy you're not going to Starbucks, you're saving money. I said, I never really spent a lot of money in Starbucks. I get a black coffee. It's like $2. It costs me $2 to get coffee at the gas station. But the main reason I use Starbucks is because I buy a coffee and I sit there, I get air conditioning, I charge my electronics, I use the bathroom, I do my work out of there. So guys, without Starbucks, without a gym to shower, to shave, of course to work out, it's a disaster. I got some other resources, but it's tough, man. I always knew that, eventually you got to upgrade a little bit, but if look, guys, nomads are suffering. There's no way around it. It's true. This is really a hard time for nomads, but at least we won't come out of the other. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And that's the reward of the nomad, but is that we don't have debt and we live simple. And that's why I'm very cautious on what I will buy next, that I live below my means. Because I never want to go back to being in debt and being on the hook to other people. Because then you can't block people, whether it's on YouTube or in your life, you have to pander to everyone. And that's why Hillary Clinton lost the election. She pandered to everyone. You have to be able to be yourself and to speak truth to power sometimes. And you can only do that if you're living below your means, in my opinion, my experience. And so, to all my nomads out there, if you do upgrade after this, just remember to be cautious, to live below your means, and whatever you purchase, you have a way out of it. So if you buy a travel trailer, you know what you're going to lose if you trade it in or if you get rid of it if you don't like it. If you buy a motorhome, you know what's the depreciating value of it and how you're going to get rid of it if you don't like it. Always know your exit strategy. Because like Kim Jong-un said, nothing lasts forever. I agree with that. Butter, thanks for talking about Iran-Contra. No problem. Yes, Sam Oliver North, who's the former leader of the NRA. I didn't know that. That's interesting. A criminal who propped up that's what it was. The Nicaraguan fascist Contra terrorist under Reagan. That good comment. Yeah, that's true. Look that up. That's true. Tony, Ollie North and Elliot Abrams funded and trained psychopaths in Central America while Reagan crushed U.S. unions. Tony, good comment, man. Dar, she supplemented me. 999 super chat. Damn it, Dar. Hand sanitizer emoji to you. Anyone who got to say hand sanitizer emoji, put it in there for Dar. Nurse outfit emoji and a mask emoji. I know everyone's got the mask emoji. Put the mask emoji in there for Dar. Dar, love to you. Kisses to you. Take care of yourself. My number one piece of advice, someone said it to me the other day. I was making a video. I was struggling mentally. And someone said, a good viewer, I forgot who it was, forgive me. They say, Sam, take care of yourself, man. The one thing I want you to remember, thank you, Dar. Dar and everyone, I got to remind myself, sometimes people remind me, take care of yourself, especially if you're a caretaker. Take care of yourself. Thank you, Dar. God bless you. Edgar, good vibes from LA. Shout out to LA. Look, guys, yeah, Florida ever fell into the ocean because scientists and the executive CEO of Hess Oil Company, he said that climate change is real. So if a CEO of an oil company says climate change is real, and even Donald Trump said there's something to climate change, but I don't want to lose our wealth because our wealth comes from oil, a certain part of it. We subsidize oil companies. They're not capitalists. They get subsidized by the country. Right now, Trump had called Russia and Iran to negotiate how much output of oil because he wants to control the cost of oil. Guys, we're not in capitalism. So what I could tell you is if Florida goes into the ocean because it's basically at sea level, hopefully it won't happen in my lifetime. But if it does, I'm probably going to go to California. Okay. But if California totally goes into the ocean because it has an earthquake, I hope I'm not around by then because then I got nowhere to go. Jay Barry, what's up, man? Also Floridian, man. My Floridian is strong tonight. Hey, Sam. Brent's also from Florida. You got a place down there. Thank you for showing up every night. Thank you for your love, man. You're really helping me right now. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, Jay Bird. Florida. Good vibes, everyone. I like it. Rick. In the Monopoly rules, it says when the money runs out, you can make more with blank paper. That sounds like the Federal Reserve. Good job. From Florida. Man, our spring break is now full of crap. Yeah, I feel bad for like the people in high school that are going to miss out on their prom and the kids because that's a special time for them, man. Yeah, since they shut down Miami. I was in Palm Beach County when there was spring break. Guys, I was in Palm Beach County. There was 20-year-old spring break girls with G-string bikinis where you want to smack that ass. Oh, damn it. I was living in paradise, man. Like I came back up north. They said, Sam, why are you sick? You came from paradise. Guys, I was in Palm Beach County, okay? There was girls with G-string with a fucking ass that you smack all night long. And then I come up to New Jersey in a fucking all-night gas station. Some big chick coming out of the corner store with dirty pajamas, man. And you talk about, Sam, why are you depressed? Guys, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that I just didn't end it, man. Because you understand what that does to the human psyche? When you go from 90 degrees, I had a suntan, I was fucking in shape. I was fucking spring break to smacking ass. The fucking music was banging. All of a sudden, national emergency. And I go up to fucking New Jersey, it's fucking 45 degrees cloudy. Big chicks everywhere. There's no Latino music. Guys, it's a total disaster. I mean, how can there not be compassion? That's why I question God. Guys, 2 days ago, I did a video, I questioned my whole faith. Part of that was I became an atheist after I left Florida, man. I said, God couldn't have created Jersey. I mean, how can you create such a cruel world, man? I mean, I was in paradise. I mean, if there's heaven is Palm Beach County during spring break. And what I could tell you is that shit got canceled, man. That's like going from heaven to hell. Guys, let's take a hydration break because I'm getting upset. I'm getting fucking upset just now. I'm sorry, cursing. I'm getting upset. Sorry, I had a relapse real quick. Edgar, I miss his show, Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. Yeah, he was out there, man. Like even the sniper, who was like a glorified military figure. There was a movie called The Sniper. It was about a guy who like killed all these people overseas in the Middle East during the wars in the 2000s. And come to find out, he lied that he went to a bar and beat up Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura sued his family. And basically, the sniper was a liar. Okay. So all these people, like, they worship him as this great American hero. Come to find out, and Jesse Ventura is a former Navy SEAL. Okay. And Jesse Ventura said the sniper was basically a scumbag. Okay. So, guys, just because someone's a sniper and they kill someone, don't mean like they're an American hero. They could be a scumbag. That's true. From Florida. Florida is famous for tourism. Well, that's where the money bag is. But guess what? 90% of the people that live in Florida were not born in Florida. That's true, too. And they were originally from up north, but now Florida reached a population of 20 million. Well, the original population of Florida is obviously rooted in Native American history. If you go to Florida, you're going to, especially South Florida, you'll see a lot of Native American history. So again, like, we're all tourists, right? Because America, if we factually look at America, it was first occupied by Native Americans. And then the Europeans came over here and they brought a plague. They brought the coronavirus and it killed a lot of the Native Americans. It's fact. Look it up. And even in parts of the fight for, like, Ohio, the Europeans used smallpox as a chemical warfare weapon to kill off the Native Americans. So St. Augustine, Florida is the oldest city in the entire country. And you'll see the Native American roots. And when the Europeans and the people from Spain, they came over to Florida to colonize America. And back to, like, King Jong-un's point, the European rule was like one of the biggest rules in entire human history. So it's all fact. It's true. Why do you think they call it, like, the Florida Seminoles? Like, a lot of people think the Florida Seminoles, like, that's like just like a name like they came up with, like a football team. Guys, it's all, like, rooted in, like, the Native American history. Like, you know, it's not like just because, oh, let's be a Seminole. You know what I mean? So look it up. Sammy, do you know what Florida Bama is? Probably somebody who used to live in Alabama, now Florida. From Florida. Jersey Shore isn't like the thing in Jersey Shore. Well, Jersey Shore, a lot of it's pretty close to, like, the Jersey Shore TV show. When you're like on your prom or when you're young, the Jersey Shore is exactly like that show. At least it was for me, you know, for the most part. So, you know, now a lot of the old people that now live on the Jersey Shore, and they hate when people from up north come during the summer because now they're old, they're retired, and they got a sign outside their house saying, "We support our police, we love Donald Trump." These are the same people that used to get fucked doggy style behind, like, the arcade games, okay? And they were, like, doing the twist in the doo-wop days when they actually had a nice ass, and now they're old as hell. And they think Donald Trump wants to have sex with them, but Donald Trump, you don't understand. If you don't look like, you know, if you don't look like, what's his wife's name? If you don't look like, and she got a bunch of plastic surgery. Guys, Donald Trump don't date big, old, nasty chicks. He don't. So look it up. It's fact. So what I can tell you is this. Just because you were giving up doggy style in doo-wop era and now you're not, don't mean the Jersey Shore ain't fact. And what I can tell you, Jersey Shore is fact, man. Good job. From Florida. Yeah. Butter. Tony, thank you for mentioning Elliot Abrams, another criminal who was convicted of the Iran-Contra. Got pardoned by Bush. I didn't know that. Bush Sr. on facilitate the Iraq war, now appointed as rep of Venezuela. That's interesting, man. I didn't know that. So gross. We have 6-foot rule here. I like that rule. Salons were closed today. They're going to go out of business. That's tough. Thank you, showgirls. Showgirls, not busy, but open here without 6-foot rule. Wow. Tony, Butter, you have that right, brother. Butter. By the way, innovation in the U.S. happens in publicly funded universities and government labs. That's true. Not just corporations. Good point. Look up development of internet. That's true. Al Gore said he created the internet. Remember that? Aviation, touchscreens, GPS, lithium batteries. You're right, though. You are right. Good job. J-Bird. Pastor, I saw that article. I saw it on Vlad TV. Yeah, pastor in Tampa got caught congregating with people and, he got arrested. Well, rightfully so, man. You know what I mean? A lot of those pastors out there, like, they're out there, man. Thin line between spirituality and complete nut job. That's true, Tony. Right again, Butte. You know it, Tony. Mr. Smith, I give in Sam. I'm going to sign a condo lease. Well, brother, I support you. Just remember, when you're a nomad, like my man AJ, who used to live out of his Toyota Prius in Miami shut down. He had to do the same thing. He did a temporary rental for 2 months in Miami. Guys, do a short-term lease, Airbnb. Why? Because when you're not ready to buy, renting is basically, it keeps your flexibility. So in a couple months, hopefully when this passes, you're back on the road. But there's nothing wrong with using your flexibility to get stable, but just do a short-term lease. But I understand the frustration of not wanting to do that. I understand. Dark, I miss you too, and I thank you for your tip. I appreciate you. From Florida, I will watch your lives every night now, Sammy. Well, look, I appreciate that, and I hope you do. But I want you to give the freedom. Like if you get tired of me, or if you want to watch something else, maybe you're horny, you want to watch free porn, just do you. Because I don't believe in control and manipulation. I appreciate your support, though, Tony. The big corporations often stifle and smother innovation, or they steal it. That's true. The first cell phone, CFL lighting, etc., were developed in former socialist countries. Interesting. I saw a guy today on the podium with the President of the United States. He was the inventor of My Pillow, headquarters in Minnesota. His company was basically like flagged by the Better Business Bureau that they're told scam artist. And now he's basically got a government contract to make pillows. It's all scam. Dart, thank you for the tip, though. All I can tell you is I love you and I appreciate all your kindness towards me. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dart. Infinity 1999. Glad to see you're getting better. Thank you very much for the prayers and love. Dar, I love you. Thanks for all your advice. Well, I love you too. You keep being the best nurse, best caretaker you can be, and I appreciate all you do. Dar, yes, take care of yourself. That's true. Yeah, I know you told me about that Xerox. You will never cough again. I remember you told me about that. You care the small stuff, so you won't have to drink the strong meds. Yeah, I don't like meds. I take NyQuil. It's the only thing I take. Guys, remember this. If you get sick on the road and you're going to buy NyQuil, you buy it using my Amazon link in the video description. Why? Because, guys, right now, this is still capitalism. And the only way to make a profit, okay, is to sell stuff. That's true. Thank you. Dar, the connection's really bad. Dar. Oh, yeah, I read that. From Florida. Get the heck cold. Oh, yeah. Florida got cold this year. It was the warmest winter in United States history. That was the worst time of my life. Dar, the connection was bad. Lenny, what might be hiding in Antarctica might be scary theory. I don't know, man. You don't want to know what's hiding in New Jersey. A lot of big chicks. Dar, yes, take care of yourself. Oh, yeah, I read that. Yeah, Xerox, I don't want to cough again. So you won't have to take stronger stuff. Thank you. Oh, that must have repeated. That's why I came back so many times. That's funny. Oh, yeah, all the people laughing at my Florida skit. Yeah, I might have to chop it up and make that a separate video. Rob, you sound better. Big L's. Thank you, Rob. Tomasco. From paradise to big chicks. What a disaster. Make you question your faith. What was that song by Phil Collins? Like I was losing my religion. I'm in a corner losing my religion. That's how I felt when I came back to Jersey. Yeah, Justin laughing good. Dar, it was my off day. Good, you need a day off. It was what I was able to hear you. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Dar. From Florida. See, this is what the Floridians act like. When we leave Florida, yeah, it's basically like going through withdrawal. Jason. Forgive me for saying the name wrong. Sankana Indians. From Florida. Good to see you, Jason. From Florida. Maglian Pence. Oh, De Leon. Yeah, Ponce de Leon. Didn't he have like the in St. Augustine, they're capitalists. They got like the fountain of youth. All the old people go there to drink water and don't make them younger. Yeah, I know about Florida. Forgive me for saying the name wrong. Bremer, do you like your iPhone? I have a Samsung Android. I like Android better than iPhone. I don't have a TV. I have a car. Thanks, capitalism. Well, actually, the car, well, let's go through one at a time. iPhones, okay, are made in China, okay, because of capitalism, and you lost American jobs. Your TV is bought and sold in Walmart. Walmart outsources to manufacturers, pays their employees dirt poor to maximize their profits with no health care. And the car companies were bought out or bailed out in 2007 by the government, the United States taxpayer. That's socialism. Also now, the United States government is mandating that the car companies make ventilators, not for profit, but for the good of society. So all three of your examples are why capitalism is either failed or is failing. So thank you for pointing out your own ignorance, and you still won't believe it because you were brought up in a household that preaches you that, in a state, in a culture, in a religion that breeds ignorance, and you don't want to face the reality. that without government intervening, capitalism would have collapsed during the Great Depression, the Great Recession, and last week. The government intervened, and thank you, the United States government. Thank you for the socialist programs that you offered the free markets, because without that, there'd be destitute in the street. So thank you for your ignorant comment. You pointed it out again, why people voted for Trump, because they're ignorant. Rob, what's the difference between Jersey and Florida women? Now, that's a whole nother live feed, brother. I can't go there tonight. From Florida, Florida women are better. That's the difference. Well, it all depends. It all depends. Showgirls, I think that Airbnb is done. They had to pay a ton of money out. Yeah, they tried to capitalize off the system and get away from paying state tax and like Merkel tax, etc. It's all a game. That's true. Norma, I keep dropping my signal. That's okay. I'll watch the rest on the replay later. Thanks so much. I love you. God bless you, Norma. Tony, Conrad, capitalists did not develop those things or make them. They profit them. Well, I just broke it down for them. Don't worry about that. But thank you, Tony. You did a great job. So, girls, here comes the commercial. Hey guys, I gotta be a capitalist. You know, that's the only way to make money. That's true. From Florida, Florida is still increasing the coronavirus. Yeah, that's true. Guys, until you do mass testing, you don't know your state. And Florida is a prime state for the coronavirus because you got a lot of international travel. Number one way of revenue in Florida is tourism. People travel there. You got a big old population, and it was just spring break. So, guys, I think Florida, after New York, may be the next hub. Mr. Smith, big chicks in Jersey. It's a disaster. I know where I'm moving to. Oh, you like big chicks? You looking for the BB doll? Yeah, I know you do like big chicks. I'm not mad at you. Mr. Mark, my friend Susan has a crush on you. Well, shout out to Susan. But I ain't mad at you. Keep doing you, bro. I appreciate that. I'm a stripper on YouTube. I'm a capitalist. Can you give a shout out to her? Shout out to Susan. Susan, you want to tip me? Put it between them. Susan, you want to tip me? I'm a stripper on YouTube. Thank you, Susan. See what they do to you? You gotta do everything for $1, man. I ain't mad at that, man. Shout out to the oldest profession in the world. Prostitution. I ain't mad at that. Peace to you, man. God bless you. Shout out also, to her 2 kids. Susan, never mind. Lord, yeah, I ain't raising your kids. I don't want to be no daddy. Love to you, Mr. Mark. Yeah, I'm out of here, man. I gotta be single for life, man. Let me button up my blouse. Try to take advantage of me. Shit. Yeah, you ain't gonna see that. Showgirls, iPhones made overseas. We never negotiated that trade deal. I'm not donating any of my info to the government yet, to the cloud anyway. Well, I gave it all to them. They're going to get you anyway. Good job, those showgirls. From Florida, spring break girls, yeah. Very nice. Bada boom, yeah. Tony, first cell phones were developed in Soviet Union. Thank you, Russia. Bernie, you should move to China. Well, our iPhones are made there. If you don't like it, my friend. No, in America, opposite of China, we have the First Amendment right, which means that we can kneel during the national anthem. See, Bernie, you don't understand the First Amendment right because you're not a patriot. You're a communist. If people don't kneel to your flag, you want them to be thrown in jail. You are a traitor to this country. You're like Donald Trump. You didn't serve in the army even though you were drafted. You're a traitor. You're a racist and you're ignorant. You are a Donald Trump supporter. Thank you for your basically your treason. You committed treason against the country. Because if you believed in America, you would actually like what I'm saying because I'm speaking all fact and I'm exercising my First Amendment right. So thank you, Bernie, for proving that you're basically a disgrace to society in this country. But we understand why. That's who you are. Rob, Atlantic City must be covered in cobwebs right now. No, it's covered in Donald Trump's bankrupt casinos. Yeah, hey, Bernie, you know that? How many Donald Trump casinos went bankrupt? Atlantic City casinos, I think about 4 or 5. They all went bankrupt. They're in rubbles right now. Go check them out. It's true. From Florida. I know that's right, Rob. Mark, I'm the man. I appreciate that. Right? 2 kids means run the other way fast. Well, I buttoned up my blouse for a reason, Mr. Smith. I love big women. Hey, take one for the team, brother. She ain't a lady if she ain't 280 pounds. Damn. I love cellulite. Well, brother, you got some cellulite on that, man? Rob, you're from Florida. It wasn't doing so good before this, I think. But laughing good. Hey, guys, I broke it down tonight. I put the truth out there, shoved it down their face, and made them take a dookie right out their ass. And what I could tell you is just let this video go down in history. Unless the communists can't take over and they take away our free speech. They don't let us exercise our rights. But until they do, let freedom ring. And let all the corporations get bailed out by the government. Okay? Let socialism save America, which it has. Just 2 weeks ago, it saved America, socialism, during 2007, and it saved America during the Great Depression, 1929, through infrastructure spending and Social Security and Medicare. So what I can tell you is let Social Security in balance with a level of capitalism be well run, and let the people reform it and speak up for their rights the same way the corporations pay lobbyists to lobby the government for laws created in their favor. You lobby the government for laws and incentive programs in your favor. You have that right. Never give up that right, and never be bullied by an ignorant, nasty person, because they have no right to do that to you. Never forget it. God bless you and thank you.